Well, it's looking more and more like Robert Ehrlich is going to run for governor again. This morning, Ehrlich ended his 3-year run as a radio talk show host in Baltimore. Governor Martin O'Malley is calling the meltdowns utterly unacceptable. A federal investigation has been launched. Today, one candidate picks up a high-profile endorsement, but a new poll suggests the city's support is swinging the other way. Our Brianne Carter is live in Northwest with all the details. Brianne?
You can see behind me here, part of the pier fell in the water following the earthquake. It used to extend all the way out to those ships you see right there. Military officials have been working around the clock to reopen this port so that more ships can bring in cargo. We are experiencing these strong winds firsthand out here. My cheek is numb because they're so strong. Well, Leon, ABC 7 News has confirmed that 2 hostages are inside that home. This barricade situation has been unfolding since around 2 o'clock this afternoon. Hurricane Earl has weakened just a bit, but the watches are being extended. The Virginia coast is now under a hurricane watch. Turning now to the weather, a very pretty if muggy Saturday. ABC 7 meteorologist Steve Rudin has your first forecast. Steve?
Well, I think key here is that you can work out and stay in shape when you're pregnant, and it's also something you should do.
Right now, President Obama is en route to Texas, where he will be thanking U.S. troops for their service. He'll then be heading back here to Washington for his second primetime Oval Office address. In his speech, he will be walking a fine line. He'll be telling Americans that he kept his promise to get troops out of Iraq on this timeline, while also acknowledging the risk that still remains. In a showing of gratitude on this historic day, President Obama is visiting Fort Bliss Army Base in El Paso, Texas, to thank troops for their service in Iraq and pay tribute to the 4,400 Americans who lost their lives since the war began in 2003. In the Oval Office tonight, President Obama will mark the end of combat operations in Iraq by calling it a milestone, but he will stop short of saying mission accomplished.
We still could have headlines about troops dying in roadside bomb explosions and things like that. So he has to be careful not to promise the American people, hey, it's all over, time to come home.
On the ground in Baghdad, Vice President Joe Biden is acting as chief diplomat in hopes of pulling together a functional Iraqi government before the remaining 50,000 U.S. troops completely withdraw next year.
There's 2 main parties there, and he seems to be trying very hard to sort of bring them together on Obama's behalf while not looking like the Americans are dictating a solution.
With the fragile country still in political paralysis, many are concerned al-Qaeda will seize the opportunity to amp up violent attacks against Iraqi troops, opening the door for American troops to remain in harm's way.
We're combat troops. We're still here. We've still got a job to do. The names change, but the mission's pretty much the same.
And President Obama is expected to call former President Bush ahead of tonight's speech. Still unclear at this point if Obama will be giving Bush credit in his speech tonight about the 2007 troop surge, which helped bring stability to Iraq. You can watch tonight's primetime Oval Office address live right here on ABC 7 at 8 o'clock. Reporting live on Capitol Hill, Pamela Brown, ABC 7 News. The Fairfax Search and Rescue Team loaded up on a van this morning and set out on a mission to save another life. Team members say hope of finding survivors may be dwindling, but it hasn't faded completely. As we ventured from the U.S. Embassy through the city of Port-au-Prince, we passed Haitians selling fresh fruit outside crumbled buildings. We also drove by what was once a treasured landmark, the presidential palace, now in ruins. We just arrived at a location you can see to my left here. There is a mini tent city where people are literally living because they lost their homes in the earthquake. Several of these have sprung up following the quake. To my right here, rescue workers are trying to find the location where the person is potentially trapped. During the search, you couldn't help but smell the overwhelming stench of bodies trapped under the rubble. Still, the rescue workers pressed on, taking tips from local Haitians.
The information that we got was pretty loose.
We were approached by some claiming 2 living persons were trapped in a school.
I had them talk.
When?
Yeah, Wednesday.
After searching several buildings, no luck. Even in the midst of such tragedy and loss, there were moments of gratitude.
Coming in Haiti to help people is very good. And we thank you very much.
And glimpses of joy.
There you go.
A testament to the resiliency of these Haitians.
They've moved right on and picked up and just continue with their lives. They haven't let it devastate them and put them in a hole that they can't get out of.
So far, the Fairfax Search and Rescue Team has saved 16 lives since arriving here last Wednesday. Until the Haitian government declares the rescue is over, the team will continue its search efforts. In Port-au-Prince, Haiti, Pamela Brown, ABC 7 News.
Well, yet another day of scorching temperatures in the Washington region, and the heat wave is likely to continue tomorrow. In fact, this month could go down as the hottest June on record. Meteorologist Steve Rudin joins us now with the first look at that forecast. Steve, not catching much of a break here. Former Vice President Dick Cheney is still in the hospital this evening and undergoing tests. Cheney was admitted to George Washington University Hospital last night after he complained of not feeling well. Cheney has a long history of heart trouble, but it's unclear at this point if his current condition is heart-related. A spokesperson for Cheney says he expects the former VP will remain at GW through the weekend. An overnight fire has left a teenage boy in serious condition. That fire broke out around 3:30 this morning on Foot Street in Seat Pleasant. When firefighters arrived, the two-story house was engulfed in flames. That boy was standing outside, suffering from severe burns and smoke inhalation. He was taken to a local burn unit for treatment. The cause of the fire is still under investigation. Well, get ready to shell out more money if you ride Metro. Starting tomorrow, fares are going up. The peak fare will now cost $1.95. That's a 30-cent increase. Bus fares are going up a quarter for Smart Trip users and 35 cents for passengers who pay with cash. Metro says the fare hikes are needed to close a projected $189 million budget deficit. It was another nail-biting round of the World Cup, but this time around the Americans couldn't pull off a win. Today, Team Ghana beat Team USA in a heartbreaking loss in overtime. Our Mike Canine took in all the action at Murphy's Irish Pub in Old Town Alexandria. So, Mike, how are those Team USA fans handling the disappointing loss? Coming up on ABC 7 News at 6, when will we get a break from these sizzling temperatures? Meteorologist Steve Rudin has the complete forecast. Plus, police investigate a kidnapping attempt they're describing as bizarre. And investigators search for answers after a bicyclist is struck by a car and killed. The latest developments next on ABC 7 News at 6. Police are investigating a deadly accident after a bicyclist was struck by a car. Our Richard Reeve is live with the latest on this investigation. Richard? World leaders are meeting in Canada tonight to tackle issues of the global economy. The G20 summit opened today just hours after G8 members wrapped up their own meetings. ABC's Ann Compton is traveling with President Obama. Well, this is a bizarre story. A woman is behind bars accused of trying to kidnap a newborn infant in Indiana. Police say the woman forced her way into the home of a couple with a baby. She pulled out a knife and stabbed the mother, then stabbed the father when he heard the commotion and tried to stop her. Before she was able to run away with the baby, the father was able to pin her to the ground and call 911. The Smithsonian Folklife Festival is in full swing on the National Mall. This year's festival is featuring programs highlighting Asian Pacific Americans, Mexico, and the Smithsonian itself. There's plenty of music, food, arts, and crafts and other activities for people to enjoy. The first week of the festival wraps up on Monday. The festival will resume on Thursday and continue through July 5th. And people may enjoy the weather more if they go on Thursday rather than
It's always so
Monday.
hot, though, for the Folklife Festival. Fortunately, things are going to cooperate with us toward the end of the week. It's going to be hot and humid tomorrow, and there's the relief from the heat and humidity Wednesday and Thursday.
Much needed relief. Okay, thank you, Steve, and thank you so much for watching. We'll see you back here at 11.